Hi, everyone. So this video is going to go over the transition from the student version of Tevera to the alumni version of Tevera. Hopefully you're watching this video and you're still in the student version. If you already made the transition, I'll talk about some of the things you need to know at the end of the video. But to switch over, you're going to click on the initials in the right-hand corner of the screen. You might already have a graduation date in here, but if you left it blank or it's inaccurate, then you can just change it. So hopefully you're watching this like a week or two before you graduate and you have a good sense of when you're going to be finished at your site and when you'll be finished with all of your paperwork at your site. You're choosing this date based on when you'll be done with everything at your site. So if you know that you'll have all of your paperwork signed from your supervisor and you'll be completely done seeing clients and like closed out at your site by the actual like last day of the semester, then you can put that last day in. If you're going to be seeing clients for like another week or two, or you need another week or two to get all of your paperwork signed, then I would put this date out, I don't know, like 2.5, 3 weeks, just to like give yourself some room. And then if you're going to be staying at your site for a while past graduation, then I would put the date, whatever date you want in, that's like in the next couple of days, because you're going to have to make the transition and just reconnect to your site anyways. But if you're just going to be at your site for like another week or two, then you can just leave it in the student version so you don't have to reconnect. But if you're going to be there for a while, make the transition and reconnect. But I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to put in today. And then you're going to log out, or if you had already had a day in, when you log in on that day, it's going to have a little pop-up that asks you if you graduated. So it may take a minute for this to pop up. You might have to like log back in and out a couple times, but on the day that you put in as your graduation day, this will pop up saying that we think you've graduated, and then you do not hit yes on this until you have finished all of the paperwork at your site. So you need to have all of your BBS logs signed by your supervisor, and you need to have your in-state experience verification form signed by your supervisor. All of that has to be done because once you switch over, that site and supervisor or supervisors won't be showing up on your timesheets anymore. So you need to have all of those things done before you hit yes. If you hit yes and you're not done, you have to reconnect to your site, even if you're not going to stay there, or you have to go reach out to Tevera and ask them to switch you back to the student role, which is a real pain. You can, if this pops up and you like forgot that you put in a graduation date at the beginning of the program, then you can hit no and you can change it. So it's not a big deal, but just know that when you hit yes, you're going to lose your connection to your student site. So I'm going to hit yes because I'm ready. And then it's going to tell you that you now have a new role. And you're making this transition because in the site placement process, like right now as a student, there's a lot of oversight, right? You have to like get things approved when you put them in. But as an alumni, we're not going to be monitoring what you're doing anymore. So you're making that role so that you're not being supervised by Pepperdine anymore, because you can connect to like whatever site and supervisor you want without having to get things approved. So then you're going to log out so that it can update. Maybe a couple times. So then the next time you log back in, it'll be the alumni version. It's pretty much the same thing in terms of like using it and the way that it looks, but it's just going to say alumni now. And when you go to connect to whatever site you're going to be working at, as an alumni, then like I said, you don't have to get things approved anymore. So if you're going to be working at the same site that you did as a student for a while, then you'll reconnect the same way you did as a student and just add them again. Or once you get a job after school, then you'll add in your site and supervisor. Some of the sites like that you can work at also as a student will be in here, but we don't have all of the sites that you could work at as an alumni, right? Because that's so many different places you could work. So most likely you'll have to actually just like add them in yourself with the supervisor as well. But as an alumni, you can add whatever site and supervisor you want. And then once you do that, you don't have to get anything approved. They'll just be here ready for you to use, and you'll be able to track your hours just like you did as a student. I don't have any tracks on this account really because it's a test account, but you will still have your Pepperdine evening or daytime sheet and the postgraduate LMFT track. And you just want to make sure that even if you didn't switch over quite as soon as you graduated, that you start logging your hours as soon as you graduate on the postgraduate LMFT track, because that track has the new associate 10-to-1 supervision ratio. And as like the day after you graduate, if you saw clients that next day, as soon as your degree posts, then you can start using the 10-to-1 ratio. So you just want to make sure that as soon as you're done with the program, that you start logging your hours on the postgraduate LMFT track so that the supervision ratio is correct. So if you are watching this video and you already hit yes to the graduation, but you weren't done running all of your paperwork, you can reconnect to your student site, even though you won't still be working there here, and then the site and supervisor will pop up again on your timesheets for you to finish running your reports and send the paperwork over to them. It's just like, then you can't get rid of them. Like there's no way for me, like I've connected to this site, so there's like no way for me to get rid of it. So it's just like nice and cleaner for you to already have your paperwork finished before you make the transition, but you can just like go in and reconnect to your site and supervisor as an alumni to finish the paperwork. And like I said, you can also, if you already made this transition and you weren't finished with the things you needed to be done as a student, then you can also put in a help request and Tevera can switch your account back over as a student. And then you can make the transition again when you're ready. Another good thing to do before you make this transition is to make sure that your BBS logs and your in-state experience verification form have populated here. When you run a report, it automatically like sends it here to save. But for whatever reason, that doesn't happen. Sometimes stuff goes wrong. Like before you make the transition, I would just make sure that everything that you need for the BBS is saved in this other documents tab. Your supervision agreement, your BBS logs, and the in-state experience verification form should all be in here. And you can also save your syllabi here. The 4-way agreement will probably be in here as well, but those kind of like Pepperdine documents you won't ever need again once your degree post, because they're just for Pepperdine. So really just those like 3 BBS documents you want to make sure in here. And then when you make the transition, anything that you have in this other documents tab will still be there for you. So this is a good place to like keep everything and just like make sure that it's actually there after you like run the report, but it should be. Yeah, so once you have all of your paperwork finished at your student site, then you're done logging hours there, then you're ready to make the transition to an alumni. And if you're going to be staying at your student site for a while after graduation, I recommend still just making the transition when you graduate and then reconnecting to this, because you have to be adding a different site that you'd be working at anyways.